Beneath our feet, the Earth holds unimaginable power, and sometimes it releases it in ways that change the planet forever. Imagine a single moment so powerful it shakes continents, moves oceans, tilts the Earth's axis, and even changes the time we live by. This is not a scene from a movie, it really happened. An earthquake so massive that its shockwave rippled through the planet, leaving scientists stunned and the world forever altered. It struck with a magnitude of 8.81, of the most powerful earthquakes in recorded history. In seconds, it unleashed more energy than hundreds of nuclear bombs combined. The ground cracked open, waves crashed against cities, and people could feel the trembling thousands of miles away. This wasn't just destruction, it was a shift in how our planet works. Scientists later revealed something incredible. The quake's force was so strong, it literally tilted Earth's axis by several centimeters. This tiny movement may not seem like much, but on a planetary scale, it's enormous, affecting the balance of Earth itself. But the story didn't end there. As the axis shifted, something else happened. The length of our days changed. Even if it's just by microseconds, time itself was altered. The clock we've trusted for centuries now ticks slightly differently, all because of this one unforgettable event. The quake shockwave didn't just move the ground, it traveled deep through the planet. Through layers of rock and molten core, like a giant bell ringing. Sensitive instruments picked up vibrations circling the Earth multiple times, fading only after days. In coastal towns, massive tsunamis followed, swallowing roads, homes, and farmland. Ships were lifted onto streets, and fishing villages vanished under walls of water. Survivors described the sound as a deep roar, like the planet itself was groaning. They all just raced to study the aftermath. They found that some parts of the land had risen several meters while others had sunk. Maps had to be redrawn. And satellite images revealed a changed landscape, proof that the Earth's surface had been permanently reshaped. Even the ocean floor was transformed. Underwater ridges cracked and shifted, creating new faults and altering currents. These changes could affect marine life and ocean patterns for decades, perhaps even centuries to come. For the people who lived through it, the memories are burned into their minds. The fear, the confusion, and the feeling that the very ground they trusted could betray them in an instant. For scientists, it was a rare and valuable glimpse into the planet's raw power. And perhaps the most haunting thought of all is this: if one earthquake can tilt the Earth and change time itself, what could happen when an even bigger one strikes? The planet has many secrets left, and its power is far from spent. In the days after the quake, rescue teams from around the world poured into the affected regions. Helicopters scanned the shattered coastlines, while boats navigated through floating debris where entire neighborhoods once stood. The destruction was unlike anything many had ever seen. Roads split in two, bridges twisted like paper, and power lines dangling in the floodwaters. Satellite data soon confirmed what scientists feared. The massive rupture along the fault line had released so much tension that it permanently changed the geography of the region. Some cities had literally moved closer to each other by several feet. This wasn't just a disaster, it was a rearrangement of the map. The shift in the Earth's axis also raised fascinating questions. If the planet could be tilted by an earthquake, what did that mean for our climate in the long run? Could even small changes in tilt slowly influence seasons, weather patterns, and the delicate balance of life on Earth? Researchers began running simulations, searching for answers. Meanwhile, seismologists were still stunned by the speed of the event. In less than 4 minutes, the quake's energy traveled across a fault line hundreds of kilometers long. To put it in perspective, that S, like the ground under your feet, suddenly moving faster than a car speeding on a highway, except the Earth's crust itself shifting. The tsunami waves that followed were not just tall, they were relentless. In some areas, they arrived in multiple surges, each one pushing further inland than the last. People who thought they had survived the worst were caught off guard by the next wall of water, turning survival into a desperate fight against nature. Instruments deep underground recorded aftershocks for weeks, each one a reminder that the fault was still unstable. Some aftershocks were powerful enough to topple damaged buildings and trigger fresh landslides, adding to the chaos for already devastated communities. For historians, this earthquake became a defining moment, a reminder that no matter how advanced our technology becomes, We are still living on a restless, unpredictable planet. Our cities, our homes, and even our sense of time depend on forces far beyond our control. The event also sparked urgent conversations about preparedness. Coastal countries began upgrading tsunami warning systems, reinforcing infrastructure, and educating citizens about evacuation routes. The quake was not just a disaster, it was a warning from nature, loud and clear. On a deeper level, it reminded people of our shared vulnerability. Whether rich or poor, living in a skyscraper or a small fishing hut, the Earth's shaking does not discriminate. When the ground moves, everyone feels it. And as scientists looked back at the event, one truth stood out: the quake was a glimpse into the Earth's immense power. But it was also a promise that more such events will happen. The planet will move again, and when it does, we may once again see the impossible become reality.
Months after the quake, the scars on the land were still visible from space. Vast cracks cut across valleys, while coastal areas bore new shapes carved by the unstoppable force of water. Entire forests had been drowned, their treetops sticking out of brackish lakes that were once farmland. The psychological impact was just as deep. Survivors spoke of never trusting the silence against every rumble of a truck. Every gust of wind against a building made their hearts race. Many moved away from the fault zones forever, unable to live with the constant fear that the ground could turn against them again. For scientists, this earthquake became a case study that changed how they understood seismic energy. It proved that the Earth's crust is not just fragile, it's also deeply interconnected. A slip in one place can ripple through the planet, subtly shifting conditions thousands of miles away. The data collected from this event led to breakthroughs in earthquake forecasting. While predicting the exact time of a quake remains impossible, researchers can now better estimate how one major shift might influence fault lines in other regions. This means that a massive earthquake in one country could be a warning for another, far across the ocean. Economically, the disaster's cost reached into the billions. Ports were destroyed, industries collapsed overnight, and fishing fleets were obliterated. Recovery was slow and uneven, with some towns never fully rebuilt. The quake didn't just break the ground, it broke economies and livelihoods. But from the ruins came resilience. Communities began to adapt, building stronger homes on elevated ground, learning evacuation drills by heart, and installing emergency supplies in every neighborhood. For many, the tragedy sparked a determination to survive whatever came next. Culturally, the event became a point of unity. Songs, films, and books told the stories of survival and loss. Memorials were built on the sites of destruction, standing as reminders that life is fragile and the planet's power is eternal. Years later, researchers continued to discover new effects from that single day. Tiny variations in satellite data showed that certain parts of the atmosphere had shifted as the planet's balance adjusted. Even global ocean circulation patterns may have been ever so slightly altered. The quake became a reminder that we live on a moving, breathing planet. Beneath the calm landscapes we see each day is a restless giant capable of shifting mountains, swallowing coastlines, and even bending time itself.